He's my new dance partner. Because I keep pushing him all over the place. So, this is done. It's time to move on to the lower half. There are a lot of options on how I want to do this. I've got a couple of things here. Got a pair of pants. Has some cool stuff going on. And I got two patterns. I got a bunch of fabric. So we're gonna just kind of jump into this in a minute. I got a thing I want to talk about first. I've been doing the YouTube thing for a couple of years now. I recently got the first level of partner, which was super neat. But that opened up a bunch of other options. And yeah, it's weird, right? There's a whole behind the scenes going on YouTube partnerships that I really wish I had known beforehand. I could have had more stuff set up. But that's all to say, I now have channel memberships. It's weird, right? I wasn't paying any. I clicked the button, I moved on, and I'm playing with, you know, levels and all kinds of weird stuff. And while I wasn't paying attention, I got two channel members. The first one, well, the second one, Kim goes, "Hey, I just joined your channel." It was cute. She's like, "Am I the first person?" I went and looked. I'm like, "No, you're the second person." First person was Justin. I'm going to put his name on screen. No idea, right? It just popped up. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So I made a couple of quick member-only videos. Nothing that... all of it's behind-the-scenes stuff. So all the videos that are going to be there are going to be little teasers for stuff coming up or behind-the-scenes things. You don't have to join. Should be weird if you did. I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. Which is also why I haven't talked about my Patreon yet, because I'm not ready for that yet. That's a whole ball of wick that I'm just not even gonna acknowledge at the moment. But I just wanted to say thank you. There are a couple things I want to keep, right? This overlaps to there. So it's actually really only a couple of inches. But I want this seam to carry on to the lower part. I'm basically going to make the pants, I'm going to make them as pants at the same circumference as this is, the top. Then I'm going to put them both on and see what the distance is, and that's how big the belt's going to be. I also want a panel that goes from this seam to this seam. So I want the hip panel just to travel all the way down. I'm not sure what I want to do with the back yet. I'm not sure what I want to do with the front yet. I'm leaning towards my soldier pants because they had a bunch of cool flappy things in the front. That's all going to be covered up with belts anyway, but still. These are a pair of motocross pants Kim picked up. They've got this weird ribbing, right? And that's all elastic and flexible, which is kind of neat. But they have this pocket here, which houses these knee pads. And I've been in the 501st and the Rebel Legion for a really long time now. We do a lot of group photos. And normally you get just piled in the back unless you can do two things. One, be really tall. Or sit. Because the first thing they always ask is, hey, can you take a knee? Take a knee up front. And you're in the front of the picture. So if that's the kind of thing you're into. So I want to be able to take a knee. And the only way to do that is to have something that I can put my knee on and not have knee pads, not have the bulky knee pads, which is why my shins are going to stop below there, so I can still take a knee if I need to, or I can sit if needed. But I want to add these in. But there's a lot of cool, interesting, just line work that these pants have that I may incorporate in as well. I'm not sure yet. Just gonna get to drafting, and we'll take it from there. Changed my mind. I want to talk about this. A couple of measurements I need to pay attention to. We'll start by tracing out the fly, this, Hip seam. It's a weird thing about Mandalorians. None of them seem to have pockets. They have pouches, but no pockets. Which makes my life way more difficult. So their front seam, it's 2 1/4. Mark it at 2 1/4. And the side seam is 12, which is here. This is where my edge ends. This is where my hip is. I want this line to be the top line, to be relatively straight, and then it travels down from there. So there's a seam here. I like the where are the pants? These pants have kind of this ribbing that I really like. That's stretch fabric. But I just like how that ribbing looks. And I'm probably going to hate doing this, but I think I'm going to incorporate that into these. Just for fun, I think I want to go down 4 inches. Go down 6 from there. See, now I have to figure out whether I want the hips to flare out. When in doubt, measure, right? My hips need to be comfortable, I'd say 44. So half of 44 is 22. Half of 22 is 11. See, it's fine. It's fine. I can bring this straight down. But to be comfortable, I think my thigh should be at 28. And that is from this point over. So there, no, that's almost perfect. I keep reminding myself that this is a jumpsuit. It doesn't have to be perfectly form-fitting. It is indeed a jumpsuit. And again, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch seam allowance on everything. I do find it weird that in the Star Wars universe, there's no such thing as pockets. Doing a straight line on the hips is going to be weird. I'm not sure yet. I may have to adjust a bunch of stuff. Drafting patterns is weird and complicated. That's what I'm going with. It's the front and the back. I've got a bunch of stitching up here, just accent stitching. I'm not going to pad it. It's not going to be elastic like the other pants. This is the pocket. Since my legs are a little wider, I had to add accent trim or accent stitching that's going to actually hold the pad in place. This can be open as much as it wants. It doesn't matter. And then the back, just simple 2 panels get stitched together. A couple things to keep in mind when drafting patterns. This curved line needs to be the same length as this curved line. And then this straight line, which should be curved by the way, is the same as this line. I took all of the flare and curvature completely out of these because I want a jumpsuit. I don't want it to be I want it to be form-fitting, but I don't want it to be overtly flattering. All the buckles and the panels and everything on top is gonna, and all the extra stitching, that's what's gonna make it flattering. The cut itself doesn't matter. So this is what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna break all these pieces up into pattern pieces and show you that when we're done with it. So then I'm just gonna pattern the rest. Doesn't really explain anything, does it? I figured I would take a moment to explain what that means. I have my leg completely drawn out. It's kind of iron, so it's relatively flat. And all of these extra little pieces need to be separate pieces. All I'm gonna do is put a piece of paper over it and trace. I'm gonna have to keep in mind to add 1/2 inch all the way around for seam allowance. We're just tracing everything. Now that I have it traced out, marker the whole thing. Whole piece is cut out. I'm going to label what this piece is. I start with what pattern it is, which is my Mandalorian. Then what it is, which is pants, top accent. And then how many of them I need to cut. Which is 2. 2. Unless I want to reinforce it. Then I would do 4. I think I want to reinforce it, we're going to do 4. And then that's what we get. I just do that with everything else. Trace it, add 1/2 inch all the way around, make any important information I need, and then move on to the next piece. But since this part is now done, and I already have my seam allowance set, give me a second. Since I don't have my seam allowance set. Because I have the seam allowance for this piece, not for this piece. Which is why I mark everything. Now that, see, because this is my stitch line, so I need seam allowance this way. Now that I have this piece done, I can cut it out and get rid of it. So I don't keep making the same piece over and over again. Now we move on to the next piece, which is probably the kneecap. And I'll just move on. Luckily, the back only has 2 pieces, so it should be pretty quick. This doesn't have that many. So I got enough fabric left over that I don't have to be super, super careful, but not so much that I, can just be all willy-nilly. And these are the final pieces. Let's go over them real quick. So I decided not to do this piece, the weird ridged piece, and then the seam here, just because I think it would make the pants a little too complicated. There's going to be belts, and I don't want too much in the way. So this is the back, and this is the butt piece of the back. I have all the knee pieces and the accessory pieces sideways. There's not really a weft. I mean, the grain doesn't really go left to right, so it doesn't really matter. But still, this is one solid piece because, of course, all of the pocket pieces go on top and form the pocket. And we're going to have to go from the bottom up. So this is it. Next step is to chalk everything out and cut it out and sew. We're pretty close to being done with this. Not really, but close. Alright, so I got a lot going on right here. These, the front accent pieces, I of course added batting in because why wouldn't I? So all of these lines are going to get a top stitch to quilt everything like we did to the front. So that's getting sewn. These pockets have all been pinned. They'll get 1/2 inch stitching, zigzag, and then they get folded. Yeah, that way. So the shadow line is going up, and then this gets folded over in half, and then in half, or by 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, and then top stitched 2 seam. And that's just pinned like this. These pocket flaps are just getting a stitch all along the top and all along this edge with both sides open. I'm going to snip all of these, and then I'm going to flip it right side out and do top stitching. And we're doing the same. Close to the edge and then 1/2 inch in, double stitch. And then the back Just gets sewn to the back. I haven't set that up yet, but you know, it'll look like this. And this is going to get sewn on like so, and then get flipped out. That's it. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's super hot, so I'm not getting into it. We're just going to do it. So the worst part about it being almost 90 degrees out is this right here is my mini split. It's there. It's not installed because I'm having garage or work done on my driveway, and I'm going to lose power. And as soon as that happens, I need to rerun power out here because it's 220. My garage is only 110. So that's got to be done. But I mean, soon I should be able to have some form of air conditioning, which will make all of this so much better. But that does mean I'm not very motivated to do stuff. And I guess in the end, that's the secret, right? Nobody cares about my motivation. Nobody cares whether I want to do the thing or not. I'm the only one who that affects. So, care, motivation, desire, none of that matters. I need to get the project done. So that's what I'm going to do. As a matter of fact, while I do that, I'm going to put you in time-lapse mode, and we'll see each other when I'm done with this. And then we'll go over everything. These are the pant fronts, and this is that little accent piece. Just like on the jacket, we're gonna do the same thing here. I've got it marked in 1/2 inch from the edge, which is my sew line. This gets flipped over. So this is on the wrong side, by the way. But I'm gonna line this up and stitch all along this line until I get to this point. Then I'm gonna flip it like this and stitch the other half. So it looks kind of like that. In fact, I could pin it and stitch like that if I want. I'm not gonna. But then once we fold it over, everything will give us a nice crisp line, and then we'll do the top stitching for that. So that gives a nice crisp corner here. It's a little buckling, but once I do the top stitching, that goes away instantly. We're going to do the top stitching, then we're going to do the same thing to the other ones. Alright, this is where we're at with these. The top has been top stitched. Look at that. I love that. That's going to look so good with the other angle. Oh, it's going to look great. I put them on. Well, I laid them about where they go, and that's where my knee rests. So I want this to be here, right? So it's right about where my knee goes. And that's going to go, see, right about there. So the first thing I need to do is so this has been folded and seamed and top stitched, by the way. Get everything lined up right about where I want it. I'm going to do a zigzag stitch along this edge. And then, well, yeah, I don't know yet. Because this is much wider than the pocket I just made. And I planned on putting in a couple of accent stitches. But first thing I'm going to do is mark it where it actually goes. So if I end up moving stuff, because I have to fold this piece under by about 1/2 inch. And yeah, that's what we're going to do first. I'm going to mark this. Since I have that marked, I want to fold this side up 1/2 inch, right? There's 2 ways of doing it. This is how I do it. So I'm going to mark 1 inch up. All the way around. That's pretty good. Just connect the dots. So now I want to just ease my way around, folding this edge to the line I just made, which will give me a 1/2 inch seam allowance, right? Not that it matters as much because this is going to be top stitched onto the pants. Luckily this fabric has a lot of give to it, which makes me think it's not 100% cotton, but it's neither here nor there. And I'm just going to work my way all the way around up until here. And then I'm going to go to this side and do it back, because this is going to be difficult to ease in. And this is the point where the more pins you use, the easier this gets. The fact that I'm using any pins at all is kind of a miracle. So I like making things very difficult for myself. So I'm just going to keep doing this at this point, just tucking everywhere I can. And if there's a little bit of wrinkle or crease or something, I don't care. I'm not worried about it. It's just holding the knee pad in place. And a weird time to stop caring, right? So that gives us this. Could have chosen an easier shape, but I didn't. Then I just line this back up. And I'm going to top stitch all along this edge. And then do the second stitch just like these. Alright, so it's sewn on. It's not perfect, it's not pretty, but it's fine. This will fit in here. And I want to put stitches along these edges right here. I'm going to come down, go in, and then come back up on both sides. That way I've got these weird little separate pockets. Nothing will ever be able to be in there, but Like Boba Fett had all of his tools in the front like that, and I kind of want to emulate that. So I'm just going to do the same thing here, except I'm going to stop probably right around here, so it's not all the way at the end, so there's a kind of a reveal. Okay, with this, I changed my mind. I wanted to do it like the X-Wing tool arm. So I did a reinforced stitch, straight, and then a reinforced stitch. But this thing fits perfect. So for the top, this goes on just like that. I'm probably gonna right there. And then I'm just stitching the top along my normal line, and then the 1/2 inch again to lock it in place. That way I still have access to that. And the side seams here hold it down. So that's it with the knee pad in. Knee pad comes right out. I really like how that looks. And I'm just gonna do it on the other side, and then we'll pick back up after that. Next step is to sew the hip and the back together. Doing it right sides to right sides, zigzag stitch, and then top stitching on both sides, like we've done with everything else. And that gets us, couldn't wait, this. And this looks amazing. I absolutely love how this looks. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. As soon as we're done with that, we're going to stitch this back panel together, and then we may be at the point to attach it to the top. We'll see. So both back sides to back sides, right to right, and then I'm just going to do the 1/2 inch zigzag, fold it over, and then do the top stitching. Look at that. We're at that point, right? I've been looking forward to this point for a while. We're at the point where we connect the front and the back. Or the top and the bottom, I mean. We connect the top and the bottom. I'm going to start at this outside seam. No. I'm going to start by doing the stitch here, then the outside seam. This is something I should have done on the top, but I didn't, so here we are. Now we're at the... All I did was a zigzag stitch, the padded parts closed, and then put a top stitch there. Stuff I should have done before, except I was thinking about doing the whole length in one stitch, and I changed my mind on that. So now I'm going to take it right side to right side, pin it starting at this seam here where the padding is, work my way to the left, work my way to the right. See, I'm just going to pin this way and then pin that way. I know for a guy who doesn't pin, there seems to be a lot of pinning on this one. It is what it is. I am trying to line up these seams as best I can. If they're a little off, there's not much I'll be able to do about it, but I can still try. And if they are a little off, as long as I stretch the fabric while I stitch, it should even out okay. If you notice this side, much longer. The top is a little longer than the bottom because I just folded it over. This is my seam allowance. We're going to do something a little different with this in a couple of minutes. But first, I got to get everything together so I can get an accurate measurement. Again, 1/2 inch seam allowance, zigzag, and then I'm going to do a top stitch. This is where we are with it, right? I have to decide whether I want the top stitching here or here. I think I want it on this side, but I don't know how I feel about putting it over the padding. I may just top stitch this part, skip all of this, and then pick the top stitching back up on this side of it. I think that's what we're going to do. It'll be weird, but it'll be interesting. It's going to be covered up with a belt anyway, but still. So that gets us this. That it is almost a jumpsuit. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Take a moment to clear all this up, and then we're going to get back to this. So up until now, we've had two pieces that haven't been cut out yet because I wasn't sure how long they were going to be. But now that we have all of this, we know. I'm going to cut this extra off. This is the zipper we're using, right? So I have my zipper set up right here, right? So that gives me a measurement because this gets attached to a piece that looks a lot like this, but it goes the full length. The other side does the same thing, except it gets sandwiched in between a piece that looks like this and goes the full length, which in this situation is 27 inches. So I need to cut a piece that's that length with this edge. Probably want to give myself maybe an inch to a 28 inches. So that'll come down to here and go the full length. So I'm going to cut a piece that looks like this, 28 inches long. It's really hot, so we're losing the overshirt. I'm going to start with the folded piece, and it gets pinned to the front of the left side. So this is going to go zipper, with the right side of the zipper facing the inside of the jumpsuit. And then this gets sewn on, so it's jumpsuit, zipper, flap. That way when everything gets turned all the way around, it'll look like that. I'm measuring down from the very top 3/4 of an inch. Then this little nub in here gets put parallel to that. But I want to make sure that the buckles are facing the inside. They're going to be facing the right side. And then this piece that gets folded in half gets pinned up at the top. Then the whole thing gets put together. Everything gets lined up and pinned. Or stitched. I'm probably doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I've got a little more room on my zipper. I could do a 1/2 inch. So I kind of put it a little close to the edge, so I want to go just shy 1/2 inch. We'll go just shy of 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to stitch this. So the next step is to take this inner piece and do a zigzag stitch all along this curved edge, right? Because this gets sewn in and this just gets reinforced. Since we have a parka zipper, they separate, and that is super useful right now, as I can just sew the other side on without really trying to fight and get the whole thing together. Zippers always mess with me, because this is a stage where I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing, and I absolutely do not. So I have my soldier pants, right? And these are the same ones I'm using. They're the same thing I'm using for reference here. That's what the pattern was made out of, so I have them. These go in about the length of my reveal, so on this one, 1.5 inches in. So now that I have 1.5 inches marked, I'm just going to run the edge against that edge and stitch it down. See what happens. What the heck. So then we take the other side, the side that doesn't already have a zipper on it, and sew it right side to right side, like here. That way when we flip everything over, we have our zipper on the inside, right where we want it. So now I'm going to sew these two tabs together, which should close off the crotch. Which gives us this, right? Once we fold this piece over, we are going to have everything. This is one of those you got to trust the process things, and I usually don't. This time I think it worked out fine. I think we were at a stage where I need to zip it up to make sure I didn't Mobius strip this jumpsuit. So the nice thing about using a parka zipper is as soon as I get all this together, I can glue it in place. And I don't have to fight with one long zipper. We don't quite match up. We're about, I'd say, 1/4 inch off. Here, look, let me show you. So these two seams here just barely don't line up. But I think I'm okay with that. because everything else lines up. And that is good enough for me. So I'm going to top stitch along here and then back, and then I'm going to top stitch this entire run right here. I'm probably going to take them apart. So I can just top stitch this whole piece separately and not have to fight with a zipper. Yeah, I'll probably start. We'll start at the top stitch all the way down, and then come back up. So I've top stitched. At this point, I fold my selvage over. I should zigzag stitch this. Hold on. So I want to fold so the seam can continue up here. This bottom part right here needs to fold so I can do a top stitch, and I'm going to do the top stitch all the way up to, come here, you, up to here, which is well past that seam. That should hide any openings. It may make sense. It may not. We'll see in a second. If any of this isn't just mindless, incoherent gibberish, I'll be surprised. Who am I kidding? Most of you have already flipped to the end to see the reveal anyway. So this is where we're at with the zipper. It's there. When I pull, that pops open because this hasn't been sewn down yet. This side, which holds this in place. I may stitch right along this edge. I don't normally do that, but I think that'll make a tighter seam line. And then I can do the same thing on the other side, so it's a little more symmetric. I think I'm gonna do that. That sounds like an interesting idea. The zipper is in. Looks pretty okay. It's less than what I would consider fun, but not bad. It looks like a still suit to me. It's kind of neat. All right. Next step, let's turn everything inside out and sew the inseam. And I'm going to start the middle of the inseam, work my way to one side, and then come back and do the other side. And then I'm going to zigzag stitch it, but I am not going to top stitch. The hem length is perfect. I'm just going to do a zigzag stitch all the way around, fold it over by 1/2 inch, and do a top stitch. That's it. And I'm going to walk away from those. The sleeves, about a hand's width. Again, they're getting covered up with gloves and vambraces, so I'm not terribly worried. I'm probably just going to do the same thing on this. Cut it there, zigzag stitch, fold it over, top stitch. The neckline. Neckline is where we are at right now. And I am extremely tempted just to do a 1-inch bar collar all the way around and leave it just like I would for an Imperial, but just leave it open, because I think the open and then the under dicky is going to look fantastic. So I think that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to hem everything, and then think about the collar. Everything's been hemmed and stitched except for the collar. So I'm going with 22 inches all the way around. And I've got a piece of fabric. I'm going to put one to one side, one to the other side. I'm going to stitch the whole thing together and then fold it up. Let me show you. I'll pin them individually and then sew them together. Just because I like the control a little bit better. And just like the jumpsuits, y'all have seen my jumpsuit videos, right? Just like the jumpsuit, we're just going to sew and top stitch. So here's the front, all pinned together, right? I'm going to put another piece on the inside in the exact same spot, and then stitch 1/2 inch all the way around. So what I'm doing here is I'm folding the fabric itself out of the way, so I can do the stitching here without worrying about accidentally pinching my my fabric. Then I'm going to fold as much of it as I can out of the way and stitch this part. That's just so I have a nice sharp corner. Then I clip the corners and hope I did it right. Which gives me this. Nice, simple little collar. I'm going to top stitch all the way around the edge. And that should close all of this up too. I'm going to be pulling threads off this thing for days. But it's done. I guess all that's left at this point is to put it on. It's actually quite comfortable. This entire project has been a practice in subtlety. Right? This collar that I absolutely loved, barely visible, but there it is, right? Everything fits perfect. All of these seams are going to be mostly covered anyway, but I had to do it because they should be there. All in all, I'm super happy with how this thing looks. It is fantastic. I mean, this is the way. So there's a bunch of things I want to change about this. Well, not even a bunch, there's a couple things I want to add. Like I want to add stirrups that go around the boots so I don't have to worry about them popping up. I want to add a couple of little tabs on either side of this so it's easier for someone else to help me take it off. I trim all the little loose threads. Like that one. But other than that, it's done. I love this thing. It really looks like a still suit, and I dig that. And I really like that. So, flight suit's done. Oh, I also put a couple of zigzags all the way around here, and then stitched it. Whatever idiot thought it would be a great idea to put a sweater turtleneck around this costume. Man, that guy's an idiot. But he does good work. I mean, look at this thing. This is just... I'm so happy. I cannot express how happy I am with this. See if we can get just a little better, further away view here. So all in all, I love where this is going. You want to see what's up next, which is probably leather work. Think about sticking around? Like and subscribe. Hey, sewing videos don't do as well as the flashy stuff here. So if you could like and share this one, I'd really appreciate it. Other than that, hope to see you next time.